this week's episode of Ant on Music. I, of course, am your humble host, Ant. First and foremost, I want to thank everybody that comes in, week out to check out this music podcast of mine. I really do appreciate you checking out the channel. Also, love all the conversation. You know, when you drop comments in there, I love getting back to you as soon as I can and giving you my thoughts on your thoughts. You know, whatever. So, got an interesting week. You know, I was thinking about, popping out a box set this week, but decided not to. We did a couple of big ones recently. We did the Ozzy one. We did the Bruce Springsteen one. I did find one by Dumb Luck, an older one, which I'm going to save for a later date. But I do have 5 albums to show you. One of them, I'm really psyched about because the age and the fact that it's still sealed. This album goes back to 1989. I wasn't sure if it was 89 or 90. This band were huge in the late 80s, at least as far as I was concerned. They did get a chance to open for the Rolling Stones. How many bands can say that they got an opportunity to open for the Stones back on the infamous Steel Wheelchair Tour, which I saw. But I didn't get to see this band opening. I got to see Living Colour. They were a local band at the time, and that's what the Stones did. And these guys were basically, you had the Seattle scene, which kind of kicked off 90-91. These guys predate that. And they're not really Seattle. Like, you had a lot of bands that came out of Seattle. Like, you had, first and foremost, you had the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Then you had bands like Heart. And then you had the Explosion, as I always refer to it, the Comet, with Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, all those great bands. And we're going to touch on them in a little while, too. So this is kind of a mix of stuff. Got a little bit of thrash mixed in today, too. But first and foremost, I can't believe I found this sealed. It's like I'm still marveling at it because I left it sealed just to show you. I'm gonna open it, as nuts as that seems, just because when you leave stuff in shrink wrap too long, it starts to bend. It does what it's supposed to do. It shrinks, and you can start seeing the side is starting to get a little bit, a little funky there, and it's got a tear or two in the shrink. But band I was referring to is the Dan Reed Network, and I am a big Dan Reed fan, especially Dan Reed Network. The first few albums of theirs I absolutely adore. This album is one of them. I'm peeling the shrink wrap off now. Think about this. This has been around since 1989. Sealed. Isn't that amazing that no one has opened this up in all that time? I'm sure some people out there going, well, who cares? It's like, well, I do. It's like, it's pretty neat to have something that's been around this long, not listened to, for an extended period of time. I'm obviously going to keep the hype sticker because I always do that. I'll put that in the sleeve with the album itself. And man, this shrink wrap has shrunk. So we'll get this peeled off here. Wow, it's really super tight. Don't want to damage it, and I want to keep the hype sticker. Oh, good. There's a seam right there on that shrink wrap. Awesome. And if you notice on the shrink wrap, it has 13 tracks, over 60 minutes of music, and it highlights the tracks that they were pushing at the time, which were Make It Easy, Tiger in a Dress, Rainbow Child, and Stronger Than Steel. A couple of these tracks really hold up well. A couple of them sound a bit dated. I'm not going to lie to you. So here we have Dan Reed Network's second album, Slam. And there's the boys in the band with Dan Reed, who had a full head of flowing hair at this point. Dan has since moved on, and he's got a shaved head. Look at this. Intact. Got your lyrics and liner notes there. A couple of photos of the band. And this is a basic black album on Mercury Records and Tapes and CDs. And let's talk about this one, because I was a huge proponent of Dan Reed, and when I was in radio, we were probably the East Coast station that was pushing them more than anything, and I'm psyched to have this on vinyl. So, kicks off with Make It Easy, which is a great song. Then you got the title track, Slam, which I absolutely love. Tiger in a Dress sounds a bit dated to me. Rainbow Child is kind of funky, doing the love thing. If you don't know anything about Dan Reed Network, they pretty funky. They were described as like Prince with balls. I think Phil Lewis of LA Guns referred to him that way. Doing the Love Thing, another good track. Stronger Than Steel is a great ballad. It's like I know a few people way back when that was their song with their girl or their guy. Cruise Together, Under My Skin, Lover's a great tune. I'm Lonely, Please Stay. Come Back Baby, All My Lovin', and Seven Sisters Road. And you could tell that they definitely leaned towards a funk metal type of groove. And I'm not talking like Chili Peppers funk. It's much more pop oriented because the album was produced by Nile Rodgers. So you've got that going for it too. So very psyched to unearth, find this. Not a big proponent of saying in the wild. It's not like I went out to the forest and picked it off a tree. I found it in a record store. So Dan Reed, Network, Slam It On Down. Very cool. So now we're going to pick things up. You always hear me say that I'm not a bootleg guy. I'm not. I pick them up occasionally. There's only so much room. I don't have room for 500 copies of every concert that any band did, even bands that I love. It's just not possible. If you saw the conditions that I have everything in, you'd wonder how I survive it all. But I showed a bunch of these albums at another time. And this is, sci-fi metal, prog thrash, whatever you want to call it. And is it a bootleg or is it not? You guys tell me in the comments, all right? So, like I said, I showed a bunch of these back at one point. And here's the story on these. All right, so Blackie from Voivod. Is he doing his former bandmates dirty? He's released a bunch of unofficial releases. And, he's cool enough. He provides you with a nice jacket there for it. And these are limited numbered editions. He has his own record label called Mine Records. And this is called Voivod Nothing Left. It is a tour on the Nothing Face tour, a night on the Nothing Face tour. And, personnel, you got Denny Snake Belanger on vocals, Denny Piggy D'Amour on guitar, Jean-Yves Blackie Theroux on bass, and, of course, Michael Away Longovan doing the drums. And, it's very basic as far as the interior goes. I'll show you the back right there. But these are limited edition. Okay, and they're all hand numbered as well. You got this beautiful translucent blue vinyl. And it's pretty cool, to have this. I managed to get number 188. I believe there's only 500 made, so fairly low number right there. Hard to see, but it's right there in that little circle. And it's got a great track listing. You've got Unknown Nose, Nothing Face, Tribal Convictions, which is probably my favorite Voivod tune of all time. X-Ray Mirror, cover of Pink Floyd's Astronomy Domine, Inner Combustion, Tornado, Pre-Ignition, Missing Sequence, Brain Scan, and Ravenous Medicine. Really fantastic sounding album, excellent quality, sounds great, looks great. They never put out anything live from this period, so I'm thrilled to add this to my collection. And now I have all of the Voivod releases as well from the Mine label to date. So that's that. Next thing I've got for you. All right. What if I told you there was like a quasi-missing Stone Temple Pilots album that's just finally been released? Not too many people have heard about this one as of yet. They've released a couple of singles. And to me, when I heard the first single, Paper Over the Cracks, I got a little bit of Zakk Wylde vocally. To me, it sounded like Zakk Wylde with the Pride and Glory days in a way. So the story on this is called One More Satellite. This is different than Talk Show when they put out that. So this album was done back in 2013. It's basically all the songs are written by Dean DeLeo and Pete Shoulder, who is the vocalist. He's an Englishman, and I ordered this directly from the band. And it was due out the 18th of July, but it finally arrived on my doorstep a few days back. They included their band logo sticker here, so you got that. Also included in here, I'll show you the front again and the back, and we'll talk about this. They also have this insert, so you get a picture of Dean and Pete, and Pete's a really good vocalist. I'd never heard of him before until this, and when I heard it, I was like, whoa, this is awesome. I'll be honest with you. This is in the running to be in my top 10 albums of the year already. I've been listening to it for about a month now. 3 weeks now, and I really, really dig it. It kicks off with Paper Over Cracks, and you've got all your info right there, which is a great tune. Way to start it off. Then Vultures, Long Way Down, Drowning Out the Sun. Then you get an instrumental called Serenade. Can of Worms, another cool tune. And Willow May. Willow May I really like too. Then you've got Spit It Out and Pull Back the Veil. If you dig Stone Temple Pilots, especially the more acoustic end stuff, this is definitely an album for you. If you liked Perdita, you can definitely see where they had done some acoustic stuff on, prior Temple's albums, Temple Pilot albums, and it kind of reached its mark with Perdita. It's very much like if you dig, there's definitely some acoustic Led Zeppelin stuff in their veins, so that's in their DNA. If you dig acoustic Zeppelin stuff, if you dig Perdita, if you dig the acoustic stuff of STP, yeah, this is an album for you. This is really, really cool. So it's off label. They released it themselves. So you would have to look up One More Satellite online and pick it up that way. So that seems to be another ongoing theme. Dan Reeves is the only one that's gotten a big release out of everything I've shown you so far. So One More Satellite. Okay, definitely check it out. Very cool stuff. I'm really, really pumped about this album. Next up, for those of you that like the Bay Area thrash scene, and who doesn't love the Bay Area thrash scene? Okay, I love it. I came up on the Bay Area thrash scene. Me and my college roommate, one of them, my buddy Kevin Lynch, we used to torture our other roommates, Andy and Joe, with the thrash stuff that we used to listen to. And Kevin is the king of thrash metal. He knows way more about thrash metal than I do. I give props where I got to give props to. Now this band has got a spectacular lineup. If you're into Bay Area thrash, holy smokes, have you got to get this. And it's funny, I may actually go out and get the CD on this just simply because there's 2 extra tracks on it. All right. I got the vinyl, one, because I got to get the vinyl, and 2, it's limited to only 500 copies on vinyl. So my advice to you is if you dig Bay Area thrash, go to their website, Nefarious, and pick up their new album, their first album, which is called Addicted to Power. You notice the hype sticker right there, only 500 made. And it's got current and past members of, get this. This is like, talk about lineage. Exodus, Heathen, Hyrax, Death Angel, and Blind Illusion. You may be going, well, who the frig is in this band? Well, you got Caton W. DePena, Doug Piercy, Rick Hunolt of Exodus. Half of the infamous H-Team is on this album. Tom Gears and Will Carroll, and this is a limited hand-numbered edition. There's only 500 made. I got a real low number. You can check it out right there, 97. All right, sorry for the glare. I haven't taken off the shrink on this yet, but I intend to. With this, your lyrics, your liner notes there. Actually, yeah. And then on the back there, you got photos of the band recording. And, Caton from Hyrax, holy crap. For a guy in his 60s, what a friggin' voice. He can still belt them out, man. He's got lungs of steel, that dude. And the guitar work between Piercy and between Piercy and Hunolt is just friggin' amazing. These guys play like they're in their 20s, and they play stuff that'll break your wrist. Gears on bass, Carol on drums, great rhythm section. They really keep it moving. This is only 6 tracks on the album. You've got the intro that goes into Mirror Death, Addicted to Power, Master Plan, One Nation Enslaved, Day After, and Avatar of Chaos. And one track after the other kicks ass more than the one before it. It's just an amazing album. Really, really cool. So you have that. Nefarious, Addicted to Power. Definitely check them out if you're a thrash head. Finally, another one where I was like, took advantage of a sale. All right, who doesn't love a sale? I love a sale. And if you notice up here, you've got the original soundtrack to Singles, all right? And that's Volume 1 when they released that. So you may be thinking, well, Volume 2? Yeah, that was on translucent orange vinyl. This is a two album set, but I'm going to show you one of the albums just because they look exactly the same. So this is Singles Original Motion Soundtrack Volume 2. And it's a really nice gatefold sleeve. Okay, and if you notice here, it's got the logo from Mother Love Bone. I'm thrilled to find out that they're finally re-releasing the Mother Love Bone Shine and Apple EP and albums respectively next month. I've already pre-ordered them. I cannot wait. I have everything they've ever released on CD, and I do have a bootleg of the original album. So I'm excited that they're putting that out. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about the Singles Volume 2, Blues for a T-Shirt. And there you see Matt Damon and, what was her name? Fonda, right? On the album cover there. Bridget Fonda. There we go. Old age kicking in. And this is very cool, all right? I'll show you some of the goodies that we got in here, all right? So I didn't even think I showed you the goodies on Nefarious, did I? I may have left them in another room, but they included a couple of stickers and stuff like that, so that's fun. So one of the things they included, we'll show you the gate. All right, so they've got the front. We've got the gate with the Mother Love Bone there. On the back, you see the track listings, a 2-album set, which is really cool. And if everybody remembers the movie Singles, you had the infamous band, which is basically members of Pearl Jam and Matt Dillon, and they were known as Citizen Dick with their great tune, Touch Me, I'm Dick. This is the inner sleeve here for one of the 2 slabs of vinyl. Got your information back there. And, it's very cool. You got Chris Cornell here, Jeff Ament, Lane Staley, Cameron Crowe, and Matt Dillon right there on the front. And with this, we'll show you the album and the other sleeve. Then we'll talk about what's on here, which is really neat. Got that. And here we have the cast of the movie that starred in the movie. And this is really neat. So if you remember the movie, there's a scene where Cliff, Matt Dillon's character, is basically busking somewhere outside in Seattle. And he's split from Citizen Dick, and he's doing his own thing, and he's handing out cassettes, and they became, there were just titles on there, and Chris Cornell took those titles, went home, and wrote songs for them, and they actually appear on the soundtrack, Volume 2, which is really, really cool, and that's the reason why you want to buy this. So, with this, you get side 1 is Touch Me, I'm Dick by Citizen Dick, Wood Live by Alice in Chains, like you saw it in the movies, It Ain't Like That Live, which was also in the movie, Birth Ritual Live by Soundgarden, and then you've got the Pensière tapes, which is Chris Cornell, all right? Nowhere But You, Spoonman. This is where Spoonman came from, even before the album. Flutter Girl and Missing. All Chris Cornell done as Cliff Pontier. Then you get an acoustic version of Dyslexic Heart by Paul Westerberg. Overblown, a demo version from Mudhoney. Heart and Lungs by Truly. 6 Feet Under by Blood Circus. 6 Foot Under by Blood Circus. And then on side 4, you get Singles, Blues #1 by Mike McCready. Blues Heart by Paul Westerberg. Lost in Emily's Woods by Westerberg, and then Ferry Boat 3 and Score Piece 4, both by Chris Cornell. So it's kind of neat to get stuff that, was unreleased. It's not on, obviously, Volume 1. This also has an Obi. I'm listening to the album as we speak. It's been on the turntable, so that's why I didn't show that to you. But same thing as that one, but it's blue. Nothing special there. So that is everything I have to show you for this week. Next week should be a really cool show coming up. Going to have some more stuff that I've been digging lately. And supposedly another box set's coming along, so we'll bust that out too. So thank you for checking out the channel. Come back, whenever you see me post something, please check it out. Give it a thumbs up. Hit that little bell so you get a reminder. Obviously subscribe. Subscribe. Did you subscribe? And that's everything. Thank you for checking it out. Appreciate your attendance this week to this week's Anon Music. So, till next time, peace, one love, music. I'm out.